So she says, Dear Deidre, I had sex with my partner's best friend, best mate, every Thursday for a month. I was stupid because I really love my boyfriend. Now I am pregnant and I don't know who the father is. This friend always flirted with me. He has a girlfriend but never stopped making a play for me. I asked him not to do it as I didn't want to hurt anybody, but he took no notice and eventually wore me down. The guys are both 26 and I am 23. It was really stupid because I really love my boyfriend. No, you don't. You love your boyfriend's company, but you don't love him. You love the security your boyfriend and his commitment provides you with, but you don't love him. If this chick really loved her boyfriend, she would not have cheated on him with her best friend every Thursday without protection. And by the way, speaking of every Thursday, I don't buy for 1 second that this chick slept with this dude once a week for just a month. She tries to reduce the outright licentiousness of her cheating, but she banged him more than once a week and definitely for longer than a month. You can bet on it. A telltale sign of a female lying is when she gives exact numbers, exact times, and exact days. So for example, a girl will say, well, I left work at 5:30. I got to Brianna's house at 5:45. We hung out until 6:30. Then I went to Carly's place until 8:30, and then I came home. Guys, those times are too exact. Those numbers are too round. The time spent at each location was just too neat. What really happened was she left with Kevin in sales, and he blew her back out until she realized it was late. She got dressed in a frantic rush, jumped in her car, and made up that BS that I just read you. Timeline of events, right? She made that up. Timeline of events on her way home. Gentlemen, girls always give themselves away when they get too precise or they give exact details that are unnecessary. And the reason they do this is to oversell the fact that what they're saying is true, which always means it's a lie. So this girl wants us to think that she had sex with this dude exactly 4 times and that affair only lasted a month. I'm calling bullshit. This dude plowed that broad 3 times a week for at least 2 months. She wants us to think, oh, well, she only slept with him 4 times and it was all within the same month, so it wasn't really that bad. Get the hell out of here with that. This chick is 100% lying about this every Thursday for a month nonsense. Any man with even a remedial working knowledge of how women really operate knows that this is BS. Then, like all Western women do when trying to remove themselves from responsibility, she indirectly blames the best friend for what happened. She says she asked him not to because she didn't want to hurt anybody, but he ignored her and wore her down. Do you see how her verbiage removes accountability, guys? Think about that. Do you see how she puts herself, and this is next level game here, guys, pay attention. Do you see how she puts herself in a passive role instead of an active role, which leads the reader to assume that she was just along for the ride and had no control? He took no notice. He wore me down. She is saying he did the thing to me, so he is responsible and not me. So for example, instead of a woman saying, I slept with him, which puts her in the active role, and him in the passive role, which puts the responsibility on her, she will say, he had sex with me, or he effed me, which puts her in the passive role, which indirectly removes herself as someone who was complicit in what happened. Guys, this girl did the same thing. She said, he wore me down, which she wants to imply that she was resolute in not succumbing to his advances, but because he was relentless, he wore her down. That implies that she had no control over what happened because the thing was being done to her. Guys, girls do this all the time in all situations. They do this when they want to dodge accountability and responsibility, and this girl did exactly the same thing here. Always listen to what women say, because if you're paying attention, you will pick up on her attempts at skirting responsibility at every turn with this reversal of passive active roles. You got to pay attention, guys. Girls do this all the time. Let's move on. She continues. He kept on saying how sexy I am and that no one would get hurt. He also told me what my partner didn't know wouldn't hurt him, that I knew I wanted it, and so on. In the end, I agreed to go round to his place, but just for a drink, so we could talk about how we both felt, she says. My partner and his best mate's girlfriend are both in retail and work late on Thursdays, so it was easy for me and this mate friend to go to his place when they weren't around. Of course, she says, he talked me into bed once I got there. The first couple of times the sex felt amazing, but after a few weeks, I came to my senses. I love how she has come up with 48 different ways of blaming this guy. He kept on saying how sexy I was, as if to imply that she wasn't already sexually attracted to him until he told her she was sexy. No. She wanted to sleep with him, and she made it obvious, which the best friend picked up on right away and acted accordingly. You see, gentlemen, what this girl is not telling us here is that she enticed him. She's not telling us that she was the one shooting him indicators of interest behind her boyfriend's back. What she is not telling us was that she was making prolonged eye contact with him. She was finding excuses to touch him and be near him. She's the one that made an excuse to get his number. Oh, I should have it just in case you need anything. She would have us believe that he just started hitting on her out of the blue, unprovoked, and she was just an innocent little girl who had never hurt anybody, just standing around when the big bad pickup artist descends upon her out of nowhere and for no reason at all starts to seduce her, and she had no control. She wants us to believe, guys, that she had no sexual interest in him until he started hitting on her. But we in the sphere, we know better. We know that this was absolutely a two-way street and that she absolutely opened this door. Like he did. Make no mistake, gentlemen, she slept with this guy until she found out she got pregnant, and not a minute sooner than that. She didn't stop because she came to her senses. She didn't stop because of her guilt or her conscience or her sense of fairness or her sense of loyalty to her boyfriend. No. She stopped when she found out she got pregnant, period. Then she says she agreed to go to his place, but not for sex. Oh no. We were just going to go have drinks and talk about how we felt. Guys, this is bullshit. This is also what we call plausible deniability. I was just telling you about this. Girls use this tactic again to remove themselves from being complicit in what happened. How could you have slept with him? Well, it just happened. I just went to his place to have a drink, and one thing led to another, as if to imply that this wasn't her intention in the first place, or that she didn't know that this was going to happen. And let's not make any mistake here. This was her intention, guys. She absolutely wanted to have sex with this dude, and they both knew it. But she tells us just for a drink so that we could talk about how we felt. Because if she was honest and said, listen, I wanted to have sex with him, so I went to his place, she would look like a slut, and no female wants to look like that. Now, the funny thing is that she slips up a little bit here, right? She slips up and indirectly admits what her intentions were when she said, of course, he talked me into bed once I got there. By saying, of course, she is telling us that this was the likely scenario and that she knew that this would probably happen. She broke script for a split second and forgot to act like she didn't know what would happen when she got to his place. But then she recovered when, again, she puts him in the active role and her in the passive role by saying, he talked me into bed. As if she would not have slept with him had he not talked her into bed. As if saying him talking to her hypnotized her into sleeping with him, which, of course, divorces her of any and all responsibility.